So a bunch of guys from, and one woman too, but it was mostly men from the Young Republicans. But a bunch of guys, and I believe they were all over 21. I might be wrong, but they were adults. We're not talking about kids here. I don't know. I think they were all adults. Some of them were like the like leaders in this group, like they were the co-chair or something like that. So we're not talking about kids. Of course, the definition changes. You know, when they want to get away with something, when it's a conservative Christo-fascist committing a crime, he can be 30 years old and they'll call him a kid and say, well, don't destroy his life. But if it's anyone else, if it's like a black 12-year-old, they'll call him a man. They'll use it, or if it's a 9-year-old little girl, they'll call her a woman. Right? Because acknowledging that someone is a child creates sympathy for them. It paints a picture of them as being young and naive and almost innocent, right? To the point of being foolish, but not necessarily bad. Labeling them an adult takes that away. So words matter, okay? They try to make their own seem more innocent and just let them get away with it. Whereas the others among them, they want to demonize as guilty no matter what. So, and of course, that's what leads to more crime being committed, right? These men can get away with anything, and they know it because it's never taken seriously. So what do? They were caught in a group chat making incredibly racist comments and also sexist. They were talking about gas chambers. They were talking about punishing anyone who votes in a way that they don't like, who votes no in a way that they don't like. They were talking about, they called black people monkeys and the N-word, and they were talking about, and here's where targets come in. About one of them said that they were going to create like the most massive psyop, right? And they said they're going to sexually assault people and drive them to suicide, but also create a massive psyop. I don't remember the exact wording, but it was like a psychological warfare that they were going to wage on whoever they consider to be enemies. Believe them, yeah, because when they make threats like that, they typically act on them because they know they can get away with it. Because the leaders don't take it seriously. Even when they're adults, the leaders, you know, the Christo-fascist barbarians will call them kids and just let them get away with it. Even if they're like 40 years old, oh, just a bunch of kids. You know. Meanwhile, a 12-year-old black boy looks at someone wrong and he's going to get lynched. They'll call him a man, and they'll do that so they can punish him the way they would punish an adult. Or, you know, God forbid, a 9-year-old little girl gets raped and she becomes pregnant. They force her to bear the offspring of her rapist, even if it kills her. And that's a violent death. That is horrific. So they're going to give her, at the very least, corporal punishment. Even if she survives, she's going to suffer horrifically. I mean, that's going to rip her body apart. Okay? But under Christo-fascism, she has a very high chance of dying because the maternal death rate is increasing so much because they've taken away maternal health care. So that's corporal and capital punishment. But for the man who did it, they let him get away with it and say, well, don't destroy his life. He's just a kid. Even when he's not. But they'll call her a woman. They won't acknowledge she's a kid. They'll use the word woman with her, or mother, or something to make it, to detract from her youth and her innocence, right? You know, this is what they do. So yeah, now we've got these quote-unquote young Republicans, and yes, it can range from like 15 to 40. But that doesn't mean there were 15-year-olds making this comment. They were not 15. And if you look at their pictures, you'll see. Right? Their photos are up online, these males. And one woman, too. Unfortunately, our VP trivialized it down to them being kids, which is a lie. He lied. And this is what allows them to get away with all of this, because they know they won't be held accountable. And they will act on their threats. They almost always do. And yet, if anyone were to fight back or suggest that we're going to fight back for our lives, then the Christo-fascists will call these people, will call us, will call the people who are going to fight for their lives terrorists and a real threat and violent, and use that to justify waging all-out war and imprisoning and institutionalizing and euthanizing, right? And here's the thing, like, all of the comments were horrifying, but like the fact that they were making gas chamber comments and threatening, they were threatening, they were threatening to give the gas chamber to people who disobeyed them and who wouldn't go along with their agenda. That's frightening, like really frightening. And the fact that there are conservative Jewish folks who voted for this is absolutely infuriating. They talk about anti-Semitism on the left, but in reality, on the left, you have a lot of people who do oppose the state of Israel, but they don't oppose Jewish people as a whole, right? Whereas on the right, there is actual anti-Semitism where they're not opposing the state of Israel, they're opposing Jews as a whole. They're threatening people with the gas chambers. And yet there are conservative Jewish folks who still vote for this, as they bitch and whinge and shout about anti-Semitism on the left. They're full of shit. I'm tired and I'm sick of people voting against their own best interest, against everyone else's best interest. Like, you can't, do not think you're going to vote for tyranny and then escape it, right? Whatever system you set up to rule society, you're also going to have to live under it. Even if you think you're in a group that is going to escape it, that doesn't mean you will be. Right? A lot of Hispanic people supported Trump, and now their families are being destroyed. Right? The men supported him because he boosted their ego, their pride, their manhood. He promised them, power without accountability. And they thought, now granted, he was promising that to white conservative men, right? False Christians. As long as they're false Christians, right? Not all white men fall into this category, right? Because there are plenty of white men who oppose this. But, the Trump regime is a Christo-fascist regime, but it's also a white supremacist. And everything that they promised was meant to white men, okay? But Hispanic men went along with it because they thought they were going to share in that power, and now they're finding out they were wrong. He boosted their ego, their pride, their manhood, and that's why they voted for him. And because they tend to be Catholic, it tends to be more traditionally where the women will comply with what the men want. So a lot of women, Hispanic women, also voted for this. Okay, and now the whole lot of them their lives are being destroyed in the United States. Their families are being ripped apart. People keep saying, "Oh, it's only illegal immigrants or criminals that are being taken away," and they're lying. They're lying to ensure this continues, and their lies are killing people. American citizens are being taken away. People who are here legally and are working legally are being taken away. Children are being ripped from their families. Men are dying in the camps. Women are miscarrying in the camps. Their families are being destroyed because they voted for fascism. And they did it because they thought it would serve their own self-interest. And in the end, they voted against their own self-interest by voting against other people's best interest. And for those who claim to follow Christ, because all of this is being done falsely in the name of Christ, I will tell you this. He had one command that everything else was based on, and that's the golden rule. Treat others the way you would want to be treated. Right? If you don't want something done to you, don't do it to others. Everything else is based on that. You vote away your own life when you vote away other people's lives. And if you don't give a damn about what's happening to other people, well, no one's going to be there to protect you and help you when they come around to you. We've got these agents now, and anyone can dress up as an agent now. Just taking women and children off the streets, dragging them fuck knows where. We've actually had other men who have been caught posing as agents to try to kidnap women and girls and children. This is allowing sex trafficking. They can just take them now. People are being disappeared all over the country now. And bystanders don't know what to do because they don't know if that's an actual ICE agent or if it's someone posing as an ICE agent, because now any man can dress up in military uniform, claim to be ICE, and if you fight them, now they claim that you're committing a crime. And even the ICE agents, they can just take people, right? Sex trafficking has essentially now been legalized by these sick fucks. At some point, if you don't care about other people, if you don't care what's happening to them, you cannot expect them to care what happens to you. If you're in a group that's not being targeted by this right now and you're supporting it, what you're showing is that you don't give a fuck about other people who are going through this. And at some point, it's going to come around to you. And who's going to be left to protect you then?